WFM 91.7.
And thank you so much for joining us on the big question right here on Women Radio WFM 91.7. Hopefully your day is going on well. This is 6 minutes past 12 on the side of the radio. A very beautiful Wednesday afternoon, the 5th day in the month of July 2023. You're welcome to the big question. My name is Rose Yusuf Kaiser. All right, you know that the big question is a program where we get to discuss and propose solutions to issues affecting us as a nation and as citizens. The big question comes to you Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays at 12:05 p.m. So, yeah, you can do well to join the conversation by contributing to or reacting to the big question. You can call us up on 07000 917 917, send a text message or WhatsApp message to 070 317 56537. Yeah, you can also go to our social media pages, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube at WFM917. You can also log on to our website, www.wfm917.com. Not forgetting also that you can download our mobile app from Play Store, Google Store, WFM917, and listen to us from any part of the world. You can take us with you anywhere you want to go to on your mobile phone. So yes, we are definitely there. All right, so this is the big question. You are welcome once again. Today on the big question, we'll be talking about effects of emotional unavailability from parents to their children. All right, that's our topic for today. And we know that emotions is actually the language you use to relate to one another. We might communicate directly through both verbal or body language cues, depending on sometimes you say something, you hear people telling you that you're saying one thing, but your body's saying another thing. So it's all part of it. But it's the emotions that actually underpins how these exchanges are interpreted. We ultimately engage with each other through the use of our emotional vocabulary. Now, we do this by helping each other fulfill our emotional needs, but also through empathizing with those needs if we're unable to support them in the moment. Now, this is the nature of making ourselves emotionally available in connection. Now, however, we only gain the skills through examples given to us by parents and guidance. We need constructive role models to provide a reference point to engage with others in through empathy. And so, being raised by emotionally unavailable parents is could invariably lead to core wounding that manifests in an inability to be emotionally present with others. Now, this leads not only to being unable to discern your own need, but also creates a lack of capacity in empathizing with others. So, we can definitely understand how important this is, especially when it's going from parents to children or guidance to children, because at the end of the day, these same children will also grow to be adults and they might just pass this down to their own children. So you could see that this is going on from generation to generation. So if we don't correct it at some point, then this will just continue to go down, and the harm of this, will not be very pleasant at the end of the day. So yeah, to discuss this with me this afternoon, effects of emotional unavailability from parent to children, is Ajadi Abosede. She's a social worker and she's a researcher at Olufemi Adabale Consulting Limited, FMACL. Thank you so much for joining us live in the studio. We appreciate having you. All right. Thank you very much, Majibade Abosede, for joining us in the studio this afternoon.
Thank you. You are welcome.
All right. We'll be talking with her this afternoon on the effects of emotional availability from parents to children. So, just help us understand what emotional unavailability means, because it might mean different things to different people at different points in their lives, and sometimes we might not even know that this is it. All right. We might be doing it, or we might be going through things like this, or as adults, we might not even recognize that it's because of this that we're behaving a certain way, or we are bringing out some certain emotions, or rather hiding these emotions. So, explain to us, in the language that everybody will get to understand and follow through, what emotional unavailability is.
Thank you very much. Emotional unavailability can also be regarded as an abuse. So if you are referring to it in children, it can also be called child abuse. It can also be regarded as an emotional neglect.
Okay.
There are times that when parents think, when they think they are around, you can be physically present, but you are emotionally absent. You are not there. You are detached. You are separated from the child. You don't respond to their needs. You don't even see what they are going through. It's like you are just there, you're oblivion of whatever goes on around your children. And this can be caused by a lot of factors. Because most times, you can't give what you don't have.
Yeah.
So, when you were introducing then, you mentioned something that if we don't stop it now, it keeps on growing. That is what we call circle of abuse in sociology. Because you got it somewhere, you were not taken care of, you were emotionally abused, and because of that, you don't have what it takes to nurture a child. And the same way you were treated is the way you are now relating to your children. So if those children don't receive help at the right time, they may even take it as a normal kind of lifestyle. They will now transfer it to their children. Thereby, the circle, it continues. You understand? You got it somewhere. You have it now. You are transferring to your children. And your children will, on and on and on and on. So I think this is a very, very good topic that we need to discuss now so that our children can be helped and the parents as well.
All right. Thank you very much for that. This is 12 minutes past 12 right here on Women Radio, WFM 91.7. You can go ahead and she's here and this is her line of work. So I'm sure that if you have questions, she'll be here to answer your questions or your concerns. So you can do that by calling us on 07000 917 917. Send a text or a WhatsApp message to 070 317 All right, so emotional unavailability is what our guest today described as abuse. Now, let's understand what actually brings about this. What could be, is there a particular thing that we can actually point to and say this could be the cause of emotional unavailability, or there are so many other factors that could cause this?
Thank you very much. There are so many, but I will mention few because of our time, because I know the program is time bound. When the parent or one of them is passing through one issue or the other, maybe there is discord between the parents. Parents, they tend to transfer aggression to their children. There's a proverb that says that when two elephants fight, it is the
grass that suffers.
So when there are issues between partners, maybe the husband is not always there, maybe he's a drug addict, maybe the man, even he may be having mental issue that he has not acknowledged and he has not been treated. So there and then the children will be the one that will be suffering in that kind of a home. So now I've mentioned mental health disorder. It might be that it could be from a distraction from work.
Okay.
So many of our parents, they have a kind of buzzy head
attitude,
at work.
Yeah.
No, that is, you have a boss that is so authoritative, and you have to respond. With the present state of the country these days now, you can't resign from your work. You have to work so that you can provide for your children. And because of the burden at work, the woman or the man, we are talking about parents, we can either be the man or the woman. But as a sociologist, as a social worker, I would advocate that parenting should be dual. Not only the mother or the father. So whatever we are saying here, it concerns both the man and the woman. So if I mention the man, you should know I'm referring to you as a woman as well. Yeah. So back to the question now. It can be distraction from work. The woman is passing through a lot, the man is passing through a lot at work, and his emotion is no longer balanced. So there's no way such a person can help at home. Another one is when you are preoccupied with some psychological issue or psychological trauma. We mentioned circle of abuse. It might be that the woman or the man has not been healed from the past. So when such a person is in that way and he or she does not seek for treatment, in this our nation, this African traditional setting, when you are being referred to a psychologist or a therapist, you will say that let me speak Yoruba here, and it's not everybody that goes to see a therapist or psychologist or psychiatrist. That is mad. When you have emotional issue, you need treatment, and if you are not treated, It continues. And do you know, at the long run, if such a person is not helped, it can lead to suicide attempts. Yeah. The person can die because you know, don't you wonder why some people will go to the Third Mainland Bridge, look here, look there, and they jump inside and they die like that. They are having an emotional issue that they refuse to open up to someone to help them, and they think they can carry it alone. It's not possible. You need to open up. So there might be mental health issue. There might be distraction from work. There might be a kind of preoccupation. You know, you are preoccupied with one issue or the other. If you refuse to open up and you think you can handle it yourself, but your children are suffering and you may not even know, because you yourself, you need help. And until you are helped, you can't help your children. So another factor that I'll be mentioning again that can lead to that is poverty. You know, in this present Nigerian situation, people are finding it very difficult to fend for their children. And you know, when you come back, you've gone through a very busy day, you understand, you are still thinking of, even throughout that day, you haven't made enough that will fend for your children for that day. And you don't even know where their meals will be coming from. And you're coming back from work now, one child is smiling at you or doing something. Man, they will just transfer the aggression and start shouting. That's why I will say at this junction that there is a kind of correlation between emotional abuse and verbal abuse. That's why you see the parent will be shouting. The child hasn't done anything wrong. You start mentioning all sorts, saying all sorts to the child.
Hold your thoughts on that. So we have a call. Let's hear from this caller. Hello, good morning.
Hello, beautiful. How are you?
Fine, thank you. Chief Agoze, you're welcome. Good afternoon, sir.
Oh my God, you are so beautiful, small girl. I'm doing this for you, honestly.
All right.
You know what? Our guest, you are highly welcome.
Thank you, sir.
You are highly welcome. You know what, you know? You call the topic you are treating today emotional unavailability, Abi?
Yes, sir.
There are something that so much cherish here, you understand? The way Amanda Dobret used to, you know, present the program is very, very educative, touching and moralistic, you understand?
Thank you, sir.
But there's a favor I would have liked you to do after I might have dropped my call.
Okay.
I try to call that to most people understanding, you understand? In a very low age, you understand? Because this thing is touching me. The program you are preaching, so you are Rose.
Yes, sir.
Most people, why is the children, if they are crying? So women, you still continue beating that child, you understand? Instead of you to listen to why this child is crying, what is it? Now they do every time, you understand?
Yes.
Are you hearing me?
Yes, sir, I'm with you.
Now, what they do. Every time cry. Why not just settle down, listen to why this child is crying, what he needs. If it is something you cannot provide, you understand me?
Yes, sir.
You pay the child, don't worry. Next time, I will give you, yes? I will give you next time. You understand me?
Yes.
But you, why treating that child like that? It's a child abuse, you understand? Are you getting me?
Yes, we are.
I feel like, I know you are so much eloquent, and I've been an elder scholar of Oxford University. I also want you to calm down a little bit, not like teaching, you understand? Express it. So that everybody could just really understand. I call it emotional availability or child abuse. Most people may not understand. Are you getting me?
Yes, we
because
are.
the people, they are really going far and wide. They're educating people. Please do that if you use more English. That's more English. Everybody will do. Right?
Yes, sir.
At all the air.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Ifagozie. So we hear you, and of course we'll try to carry everybody along. So I think all Chivagozie is saying is we should maybe speak a little bit, so that everybody understand, because at the end of the day you find a lot of people who might not know that this is what they're doing. Yeah. So let's try up another call. Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. My name is Perpetua, calling from Akute.
Good afternoon, Perpetua. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. I appreciate all on our work through this thing, FM.
Thank you very much.
I want to utter a word because it happened to me.
Okay.
When I married my husband the first time, I was working in street sensation, but based on the history of the work, we normally shift it afternoon and night. It used to affect me at the house, so it stopped me off working.
Okay.
Since that time, I was staying at home. He told me that I should not be doing anything. I should stay at home taking care of the children because he normally comes back once in a week because of the situation of the job.
Okay.
And I have 4 kids now, 4 boys. So the thing is affecting me a lot because now that the situation of Nigeria is like this, I'm supposed to have something doing.
Yeah.
I have gotten a job in 3 places. But because of the situation of the children, I need to take them from school and bring them back. It will be affecting the work. So I stopped it. But now it's touching me because it's affecting the children. I need to shout to them anyhow. Because the money given to me now is no longer enough to take care of them. It's disturbing me a lot. I'm not doing anything. I'm staying at home. But I'm not the kind of person that used to be at home. It's killing me. It's making me to go. I don't know. So I need a situation where I need a solution or what to do. I have to start something doing.
Yeah.
The 4 kids is not a 1 key. The 4 kids is something that, even if they give you 1 naira, can never be enough to take care of them.
True.
And the father used to be at home. He used to come once in a week or twice in a week. It's affecting me a lot.
Oh, so
I'm
sorry
not happy
about
at all.
it. So sorry
Thank
about
you.
it, Perpetual. Thank you very much for calling and sharing your experience with us this afternoon on Big Question. All right, you've heard from Perpetual. Now, that could be another source of emotional vulnerability because she is not transferring that aggression to her kids. She can't, with the way the country is right now, one source of income is not just it at all.
Yeah.
So, what she will usually bring because of how to take care of the kid, it's just a lot, and that could actually lead to all of this. But we were looking at other factors of emotional unavailability. Now let's even leave, because I wanted to ask how do you identify it, but from the causes of this, we might be able to identify some of this. So let's look at the effects, because our time is fast spent. Let's look at the effects of this and how we can actually cope with it, because somebody like Perpetual now is asking for how to cope with all of this. She can't get to work, or she can't work because the kids are not even grown yet, and then the source of income they are all depending on is not even enough. So there's that aggression, there's that transfer of aggression down to her kids. So how do we manage all of this sort of emotions?
The first thing I will counsel her to do is that there are some things she can do that wouldn't take her away from her children. That she would do, she will still make money, and at the same time she will still have the time for her children. There are some online businesses that you can do these days, that you'll be at the confine of your home. Yeah, and you could have buyers all over the world, and you don't need to move from one place to the other. Maybe that will be another day. If I want to go into this deeply, it might take our time, that I won't be able to do other things. But I think I'll write some things for you when I'm leaving, so that if maybe you could communicate with her, any other thing. But if she's listening now, I want her to know that when I started as a married woman in my home, I had kids and a few years into the marriage, and I needed to be there for them, and at the same time I love to provide, because being there for children most times is good, perfect, but at the same time the financial implication is there. So what I did was that I took up part-time jobs. I started lecturing on part-time basis, and most times I lecture during weekends. In the morning I would have done the little things I could do. I quickly run there, then come back, and I was selling during the week from Monday till Friday. If I tell you that I've sold granuts, you can fry it in your home, put it in the bottle. Even your neighbors, your friends, some people may not need that granite, but because of what you are doing, and they some people are so caring, they know that you need to fend for your family, they will help you buy. Then I was making liquid soap too. So I would take it to church on Sunday. Even parents that do not need it, they patronized me then. These days now, people they kept on asking me, aren't you going to sell again? I say, I'm busier than that now. I don't have time for that now. So there are some things she could do. She might not make millions, but at least she will have something to help herself and the children. So she could take up part-time jobs. That will help her.
So let's look at the effects of this in children. Emotional unavailability, which could also term as abuse. Now, what's the effect of this on children?
If you see some children that are emotionally detached, I was a teacher for some years before I started lecturing, doing a social work and going from one place to the other. I noticed that in my class then, I had this boy. There's no way you teach that I will understand. So I got to know that this boy was just bodily present, but emotionally absent. And when the emotion, emotion has to do with feelings. A man called and he said we should put it in a lighter terms, that all other people that are not so educated could understand what we are saying. Emotional unavailability could mean when you are not attending to the emotional needs of your children. It could be that you are far away, but you are present. Even when they are crying,
You did what you know did.
you may not even hear. Do you know that if you have issue and you are here, it's possible I may be talking to this person beside you and you wouldn't hear all we are saying, even though we are shouting.
True.
So the children might be all around you. They are shouting, they are doing all sorts. That you as a parent, you need to notice. But because you yourself, you are not there, you won't be there for them. So you are detached. Like our normal English that we have here, you are unavailable. Another English we can use for it is you are there, but you are not reading them. You can't read anything that they are doing. You are not composed yourself because of what you are passing through, or it might be as a result. Sociologically we talk about retrospective or prospective. The retrospective issue in some lives is still continues. They are still having issue with those things that they had passed through. And they tend to sit down and be thinking about it. Is this how I'm going to suffer in the hand of this man, like my mother suffered in my father's hand? And those are the things they keep on thinking about, not opening up to anybody, thereby not being able to attend to the emotional needs of their own children. So there are some signs we can see, as you asked earlier. You see that some children, they have this kind of very low self-esteem. They can't even stand. Some, they'll be shaking. They can't stand straight. I noticed when I was teaching in a secondary school that there are some girls you notice that they're always working in groups. It's not because they want to do that. It's because they can't walk on their own. They don't have value to their lives. They feel worthless. So the first man that touches and tell that child, I love you, that child goes with that man. Even when the man abuses the child, whether sexually or otherwise, that child wouldn't come back.
All right, let me just
report.
hold your thoughts on that. Hello, good afternoon.
Hello, sorry, second trigger my call. When if I give you Ruth, when the mother, when she really started, she said the way someone trained the children, that is how that child became his children. So you understand me? Which I say, well, this is very good, you understand? Because like what happened to one woman last week, they are to me, so they would not give their child to market, They are very, they used to sell 50 dollars. He bought one for the child, bought one for herself. They dressed, they came back fully, seriously, you understand me? I think a woman that doesn't have to pay for her food. You understand? She eat everything, and the child can also eat everything, you understand? The child doesn't have control. Everything the child just say what to do, give to the child. You understand me? So I'm so happy about the program. The way people are liking it. I pray that every one of us that listen to the radio should understand what you people are treating. You understand me? Rose, I want to tell you that the person is there today. He don't ask me for you. He did there.
Thank you very much, Ifagozi. Thank you for calling back and sharing with us also. All right, Abosede, let's hear from you. You were talking about how that would actually would affect some young ones, falling into the hands of wrong people, all because of, being their guidance or their parents being unavailable emotionally, leading them to people who would want to show them the slightest emotions and they just hang on to it and go. So let's wrap up with that.
Okay. Please, I want to quickly say something. The first thing is that we should all know that we are wired for relationship. That's how God created us. So we are always seeking for. Even me and you, we need a relationship. And we can only thrive in a positive relationship. If the negative outweighs the positive, the tendency for such a child to grow abnormally is there. The second thing I'd like to say is that internal precedes the external. When you are not balanced inside, there's no way you can be good outside. I'm talking about the physical things you could see me do. When my inside, my feelings, my emotion is being affected, there's no way I will do well. That is my character. That's which you will not see.
Yeah.
It won't be positive. Yeah. And the third thing is that there's this thing we call attachment, bonding. When children don't bond with their parents, they will actually seek for that bonding outside.
I swear.
Because the vacuum has been created, the gap is there and it must be filled. So we parents shouldn't allow that. Our children shouldn't be fed from outside. We should feed them enough emotionally from inside so that they can stand all the other vices outside.
Wow. Thank you very much. We barely touched up to 4 of the questions that I actually had for you today, but I think we'll have to bring you back some other time to actually talk more on this. So, in one sentence or two, children who are suffering from this, or how can a child, let's say somebody in secondary school now, when, let's say he or she might just be listening, how can he or she be able to sit back and identify that this is what is going on with me? I'm not even talking about those in primary schools, because they might not be aware. They might not be aware totally that this is what is going on. But for somebody in secondary school, for somebody who is in secondary school, might just be, wondering what's wrong with me. Why am I not close to my friends? Why am I not social? Why am I not there? So for somebody like that, what would you advise, or what would your advice be to, young children in that particular, finding themselves in that particular situation? How can they remove themselves or bring themselves out of such things?
Okay. That's why in social work, we advocate for social workers to be in schools or counselors. If these children, they can only be helped in a supportive relationship. And children cannot decipher whether this relationship is supportive or not. Because there are some abusers that will come as if they have come to support the child. But at the long run, they will be the one to abuse that child.
Yeah.
But when we have social workers, counselors in schools, so the children can, but the first thing is that child has to recognize that I have a problem. I'm not being emotionally nourished from home. Let me use this English, emotionally malnourished from home. So once the child recognizes that, he or she can seek for help. And that child can only be helped in a supportive relationship, which is very difficult for a child to identify whether this is a supportive relationship or not. Because the relationship can appear as supportive from the onset, but at the long run, it can lead to another thing. So the best thing is for the child to walk up to the social worker in the school or the counselor and express him or herself. But for the parents, that you know that you have this issue, you can receive your help fast. The first thing you need to do is you yourself recognize I have this issue. Accept that this is my problem. Acceptance will precede you opening up to somebody, because if you don't know you have the problem,
you won't find
you
solution.
won't. So such a person too should seek for help. So when you are healed, it goes a long way to help your children. But the children should know that they are not the source of the parents' problem. Because I discovered that through the years of my counseling and the likes, I discovered that many children tend to blame themselves for their parents' problem. No. You are not the source of their problem. They should be able to help themselves so that they can, on the long run, help you. So the mother too, or the father, should recognize that I have issue, I have problem, and this problem is indirectly affecting my children. Seek for supportive relationship too. When you come, I'm a researcher. Let me quickly say this. There's something we call focus group discussion, where we bring people together to share their ideas about a particular problems, whatever the research I'm doing at that particular point in time. When you think that you are the worst, when you see someone that is own, we have worst, bad, worst, there's a tendency for you to open up. So when you have a kind of a supportive relationship that you share, this is what I'm passing through. And the person, you're own small, I've passed through that. Yes, such a person can be able to help you.
Thank you very much. This is a very enlightening discourse. I hope that we get to have it back pretty much soon, and we cover different areas in terms of emotions too. So thank you very much for being a part of the program today. We really do appreciate having you.
My pleasure. Thank you.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's it for today's big question right here on Women Radio WFM 91.7. And we spoke to Ajadi Abosede, a social worker and researcher at Olufemi Adabale Consulting Limited, FCML. And we talked about the effects of emotional unavailability from parents to children. Now, I'm sure that we've been able to understand what all of this is and the consequences of actually being emotionally unavailable. The country is hard. A lot of things, they happen. So now, what you see, now you feel even give your children. But even at that, there's always the room to be happy. There's always a room to be a family. Things are going bad, things are going back. Bad doesn't mean that that little time you have with your family or with your children, you should neglect it. All right, so if there's anything that one has learned so far is that you will never stop chasing money, but the important things that are really important, your family, people close to your support system, don't joke around with them because they will always be there for you. All right, so thank you so much for being a part of the program. Thank you so much, Ajadi Abosede, for being a part of the program today also, and to the producer of the program, Chinyere Timothy Crown, and the executive producer, Tomo Kewale Shunaya. My name is Rose Yusuf Kai, so join us again on Friday at 12:05 for The Big Question. Do have yourselves a beautiful day ahead, and do well to stay with us right here on WFM 91.7. Good afternoon.
To sponsor this program, call the number 0816 480 7613.
WFM 91.7.